Thank you for coming to practice. Before we practice White Tara together, I would like us to reflect more deeply on what it means to take refuge in Tara and her mandala. We start our White Tara practice by reciting, I and all sentient beings take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Tara, and her mandala. Taking refuge means to rely on enlightenment mind, bodhicitta, or the wisdom mind that knows the nature of reality, the nature of truth. By taking refuge at the beginning of our practice, we are affirming that we are relying on Tara, whose enlightened mind is the Buddha, whose enlightened speech is the Dharma, and whose body is the Sangha, the community of enlightened Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And as soon as we take refuge with a teacher like Khenpo, Sherab, Sangpo, whose main teachings are in the Mahayana and Vajrayana, we are already on the path of the Bodhisattvas. So when we think of the Sangha and we're taking refuge in the community of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, we need to also include ourselves and think of ourselves as part of the Sangha. So we are also taking refuge in our teacher's wisdom mind. In the Vajrayana, or the diamond vehicle, when we take refuge in a Yidam deity like Tara, we should keep in mind that we are taking refuge in the Guru, our realized teacher, in the form of Lama Tara. Our Guru is our root teacher, who continually points out to us the nature of our mind, our Buddha nature. So we are relying on the wisdom mind and noble qualities of our teacher in the form of noble Lady Tara. So when you're visualizing taking refuge, you can visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, you can visualize the community of Arhats, the community of the Hinayana or Vinayana, and then you can also visualize the community of the Mahayana, which are the Bodhisattvas. And then when you visualize Lama Tara, you can see her as including the nature of the mind of your guru, or you can see Lama Tara as a representation of your own root teacher. So that's how you can visualize, in some ways, a very simple form of refuge tree with Tara at the center of it. There are more elaborate forms, but in essence, you can also just visualize Tara in front of you and know that she's the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and represents the noble qualities, the noble mind of your root teacher. So in this practice, we are taking refuge in Buddha Tara as a Yidam deity. And what is a Yidam deity? A Yidam deity in the Vajrayana is a visualized male or female form who embodies an aspect of enlightenment that we use to focus our meditation, that we use as a focus for our mind. A Yidam deity helps us to turn our minds towards cultivating enlightened qualities in our own mind stream. So Tara as a Yidam deity embodies the active energy or the active expression of compassion, which is also called bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the lifeblood, the vital energy of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are committed to impartially helping all sentient beings with great love and courage. So she is really, even though we visualize her White Tara as sitting very peacefully in Vajra posture, or as in full lotus posture, her energy that she symbolizes is a very active form of compassion. And Tara is the essence of all of the activities, enlightened activities of all of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. So she really, her form, whether she's in green Tara, white Tara, red Tara, or the other 21 Tara forms, is in essence enlightened activity, the enlightenment mind expressing itself in the form of compassion or bodhicitta. And remember, bodhicitta is not a concept or a thought. It is what naturally wells up inside of us when we feel connected to the suffering of others and when we want to help them. So if you've ever been in a crowded room and you've seen someone fall, bodhicitta is the spontaneously extended hands trying to pick up the fallen person. And no one thinks about it in this crowded room. Everybody just reaches to try to, help this person either not fall or pick them up. So this swift, spontaneous wish to help suffering beings is Tara's activity, her enlightened mind in action. So when we meditate on Tara as a Yidam deity, we are cultivating bodhicitta and expanding our capacity to be compassion in action. So again, it's really important that when you practice white Tara is that you're not thinking about Tara as compassion, but that you're really trying to develop an experiential feeling of this energy of enlightened bodhicitta or enlightened activity. And so that's why it's very, very important, for example, that when you're practicing, especially white Tara, is that you're thinking about a person or a group of people or an animal with whom you already have a connection, so that you feel a genuine wish to practice white Tara to benefit their health, their vitality, to benefit their enlightened wisdom, and to benefit them in a form of increased happiness and all good things. Because although we would all like to have the capacity to benefit all sentient beings, the first thing we need to do is realistically look at what our capacity is. And for most of us, we need to have a strong connection to really feel that energy of wanting to jump up off of our cushion and, pick someone up. Although in my example of the crowded room, I've seen that many times, where people don't even know the person, they just leap to try to help. So in some ways, it's very comforting. We do have a very innate compassion that expresses itself spontaneously when we're not evaluating, should I help this person or shouldn't I? That just naturally arises. So in some ways, that's a wonderful thing to reflect on and take joy in. So we also take refuge in Tara's Mandala. And what is Tara's Mandala? It's the space of the wisdom dakinis. And I'm so happy today to be able to talk about dakinis because this is the energy of feminine enlightened energy. And I think it's one of my goals as a teaching assistant to bring the aspect of the feminine enlightened energy into our community. So I'm very excited to talk about this today. In their book, Tara's Enlightened Activity, Kenshin Palden Sherab and Khenpo Tsewang Dongyal describe Tara's Mandala as, to quote, wisdom mind that sees the true nature of reality as vastness, from which arises an unceasing display of dynamic forms called the display of the Mandala of wisdom dakinis. So this is Tara's Mandala. The Mandala of the wisdom dakinis is unbounded wisdom energy arising spontaneously as compassionate activity, an unceasing dance of dakini energy. So in Tibetan, dakini is ka-dro, sometimes pronounced kandro. Ka means sky, and dro means to go, and sometimes it's poetically translated as to dance. Ka or sky refers to wisdom, and to go or to dance refers to love and compassion that are the wisdom dakini's beneficial activities. So a dakini, a kandro, a sky goer or a sky dancer, is the dynamic, powerful activity of love and compassion moving freely in sky-like, unbounded wisdom space. So in some ways, when we activate our wisdom mind, we are activating our wisdom mind by removing obstacles or limitations, which are usually conceptual thoughts of what is and what's not possible. And in some ways, it's also we're removing the aspect of our mind that wants to label, to go back to our prior example, to label someone who is worthy of compassion and someone who's not. And so this unbounded wisdom space of the dakini's mandala is a completely open space of a mind that is just spontaneously performing activities of compassion without regard to conceptual thoughts that limit this capacity. So really it's an amazingly beautiful metaphor, the dance of wisdom, the dance of compassion. So it's something that I really wanted to talk about today, because we take refuge in Tara's mandala, but when we think about what it is we're moving actually, when we take refuge, into the space, the energy, the dance of compassion, which is life. And it's a wonderful, it's a wonderful energy to move into at the beginning of a practice. So when we take refuge in Tara's mandala, we are relying on and entering the mandala energy of Tara's enlightened activity, that is her continual dance of loving, compassionate activity that arises from her wisdom. Tara's wisdom is the recognition of the absolute interbeing, the interconnectedness of all beings, the dependent arising of all of life. So this is the mother energy that gives birth to all the phenomena in her sky-like space, and recognizes all phenomena as her children. And when this recognition is there, as my teacher Khenpo Sherab Sangpo said at the Guru Yoga retreat, and you were there, you probably remember, he said, when there's this recognition, you love everyone. He might have said, you love everybody. And it's really, that's something that's really inspired me since he said that. I think about that almost every day. So the dance of the dakini is the loving dance of the mother that embraces all of life. And that is Tara's mandala. So when we take refuge in Tara's mandala, we are entering the space of unconditional love that is bodhicitta mind, that is enlightenment mind, in action as unconditional love and compassion. And this is what we rely on and take refuge in the form of Tara and her mandala when we practice with her. So that's a little bit about one line in our white Tara practice. And as Tibetan Buddhism is so rich in symbolism, you can always take one line and expand it into an infinite teaching. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And with that in mind, let's practice together. So we'll do, when you all have your texts, we'll start with the refuge 3 times. I and all sentient beings take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Tara, and her mandala. I and all sentient beings take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Tara, and her mandala. I and all sentient beings take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Tara, and her mandala. Now we'll generate bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, 3 times. For the benefit of all sentient beings, in order to obtain the state of perfection, I shall practice the sadhana of Tara. For the benefit of all sentient beings, in order to obtain the state of perfection, I shall practice the sadhana of Tara. For the benefit of all sentient beings, in order to obtain the state of perfection, I shall practice the sadhana of Tara. And now we'll recite the prayer of the 4 boundless qualities 3 times. And remember that these qualities are the energy of compassion that bodhisattvas express. This is their wish on the bodhisattva path. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be apart from the sublime bliss that is free from suffering. And may they remain in a state of equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be apart from the sublime bliss that is free from suffering. And may they remain in a state of equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be apart from the sublime bliss that is free from suffering. May they remain in a state of equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. We'll do the front generation of white Tara, And we'll say the Shunyata mantra one time together. And I'll just remind you of the meaning of the Shunyata mantra. Om invokes the Buddha's body, speech, and mind. Maha, great. Shunyata, emptiness. Jhana, union of wisdom and emptiness. Vajra, unchanging, indestructible. Sobhava, nature. Atma, kohang, I am resting in that. So, Om, Buddha's body and speech and mind. I am resting in the great emptiness that is the union of wisdom, indestructible, which is the nature, my nature, and the nature of all phenomena. Khenpo also translates this simply as all is emptiness. So when you say this mantra, remember that you're recognizing that everything is interconnected, so nothing is inherently permanent. And so in that space of complete openness, in that space of complete, in some ways what we talked about Tara's mandala as being this open mind that recognizes everything as interbeing, in that space we do the generation of Tara. She arises out of that wisdom. She arises out of the wisdom that recognizes emptiness. So that's what we're doing when we say the mantra. We're acknowledging that we and all phenomena have the nature of wisdom and emptiness in union, and out of that we generate Tara. So out of that we generate the energy of compassion and loving kindness. So let's say that together, and then we'll go right into reading the front generation of Tara, the way that she is generated. Om Maha Shunyata Jana Vajra Sobhava Atma Ko Hang. In the space before me appears a white lotus with a moon disk upon it. The love and compassion of all the enlightened beings appear from this as noble, wish-fulfilling Tara. She sits on a lotus and moon cushion, a luminous moon halo at her back. Youthful and radiant, her right hand gestures an invitation to liberation. Her left hand, holding an utpala flower, indicates the protection of the three jewels, giving courage and assurance to those dominated by fear. Now we'll do the mantra recitation, longevity practice, and healing activities. We'll read this together. Brilliant light radiates from the syllable Tam within her heart, collecting back the essence of inexhaustible vitality and powerful blessings of body, speech, and mind. Energy streams forth from Tara's heart and body. I and all beings absorb this nectar of light and are cleansed and revitalized, obtaining the realization of deathlessness. So now we'll recite Tara's mantra, Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. And I'll just remind you that Om is the essence of the awakened body, speech, and mind of the Buddhas. Tare is quickly and boldly. Tu Tare, clear away all fear and suffering of all beings. Tu Re Soha, accomplish this completely, the victory of truth over all negativity. So in some ways, her vow or her aspiration as a Buddha was to come to anyone's aid and aid them out of any type of the 8 great fears, or help them with any kind of mundane or spiritual suffering that they were going through. So she made this vow to do it swiftly and boldly, quickly and boldly, with great courage. And so in some ways, when we're saying Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha, we're calling her name and just saying, please come and help. Please come swiftly and help me with whatever suffering we or all sentient beings have. And so that is the essence of her mantra. In some ways, we're just calling her name. So let's recite the mantra together. And recently, I had the pleasure of listening to a CD that had a beautiful nun chanting the Tara mantra. And so if you're willing, we're going to chant using the melody that she used. And so if you'll give me a moment, I'll chant it for you a few times, and then you can join in whenever you're ready for it. I think we'll chant one mala of this mantra. So beautiful voice. She's saying, Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 So now bring to mind the person, the animals, the family members, friends, co-workers, your spiritual teachers, gurus, people who have brought blessings to your life, people for whom you would like to practice and bring blessings to their life. And then we'll recite the long life mantra together. And I'll just remind you again the meaning of that mantra. Om Tare Tu Re, we're calling on Lady Tara. Mama means me. Ayur, long life, health and vitality. Jana, wisdom. Punye, merit. Pitang, kurure soha, is to increase and make it so. So we're asking her to grant us long life, health and vitality, wisdom and merit, and to increase all those blessings in our life. And remember that if you're at home and you're practicing for a specific person, instead of saying mama, you could insert their name at that point. So if you were practicing, for example, for the long life of Khenpo, Sherab, Sangpo while he's traveling in Asia, that he has a safe journey, you could say Om Tare Tu Re Guru, Ayur Jana Punye Pitang Kurure Soha. Or you could insert another person's name or an animal's name. But remember that when you practice for yourself, you can extend your concept of yourself to include all sentient beings. You can see yourself as that interconnected web of being, of life on this planet. So if you're saying mama and saying me, grant me these things, you can say it in a way that you really are thinking of yourself being, including all sentient beings as well. Om Tare Tu Re Mama Ayur Jana Punye Pitang Kuruye Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Mama Ayur Jana Punye Pitang Kuruye Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Mama Ayur Jana Punye Pitang Kurure Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Mama Ayur Jana Punye Pitang Kurure Soha. I just think that's so beautiful. Oh. So now we'll do Tara's prayer, and here we're asking her to remove our obstacles and grant our excellent aspirations. And I always like to take a moment before I recite this to really think about what my excellent aspirations are. So if you had the absolute confidence that Tara is here removing your obstacles and granting you all of your excellent aspirations, what would those be? So just take a moment to reflect on that. And afterwards we'll say Tara's prayer 3 times together. And as we recite Tara's prayer together 3 times, really visualize in front of you that Tara is granting you these excellent aspirations, that they are being fulfilled right now. Illustrious Tara, please be aware of me. Remove my obstacles. Quickly grant my excellent aspirations. Illustrious Tara, please be aware of me. Remove my obstacles. Quickly grant my excellent aspirations. Illustrious Tara, please be aware of me. Remove my obstacles. Quickly grant my excellent aspirations. Okay, now we'll conclude our session. This is the dissolution. So after having generated Tara out of emptiness, now we are dissolving the energy of Tara, the energy of compassion, into ourselves in the form of light. And remember that the mandala of noble Tara includes all phenomena. So all phenomena are being blessed by the light, vitality, radiance, and all of the gifts and blessings of Tara. So we'll take a moment to visualize noble Tara again, and then as we recite the dissolution prayer together, you can visualize all phenomena dissolving into Tara, and Tara dissolving into light, and light dissolving into your heart center. So take a moment to reestablish your visualization of Tara. All phenomenal appearances become the mandala of noble Tara. Everything dissolves into light and dissolves into noble Tara. Noble Tara dissolves into my heart and protects me. And now we'll offer the 7-limb prayer. And this is part of the Guru Yoga practice. And so in some ways right now we'll do a short session of Guru Yoga. You can visualize your teacher, your gurus, in front of you. And with these 7-line prayer, you can merge your mind with the heart and the mind of your teacher and make the earnest request that your teacher always continues to return again and again to teach you until you've fully realized your own Buddha nature. And so we'll offer the 7-limb prayer as a short practice of Guru Yoga. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I present offerings both actually arranged and mentally created. I purify all deluded actions. I rejoice in all pure activities. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request your wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the benefit of all beings. And now we'll recite the dedication of merit prayer together. By this virtuous practice, may I quickly attain the realization of noble Tara. Accomplishing this, may I liberate all sentient beings without exception into the same realization. Closing prayers, and the last one we'll recite 3 times. May I attain in each and every life the sublime virtues of existence and peace. May I pursue the flawless mindset of altruism, working for the welfare of others on a vast scale. Through this very merit of mine, may every single sentient being eliminate all forms of negativity and practice virtue forevermore. May Supreme Precious Bodhicitta take birth where it has not arisen. Where it has arisen, may it never wane, but continue to grow forevermore. May Supreme Precious Bodhicitta take birth where it has not arisen. Where it has arisen, may it never wane, but continue to grow forevermore. May Supreme Precious Bodhicitta take birth where it has not arisen, and where it has arisen, may it never wane, but continue to grow forevermore. Okay, thank you for practicing. Are there any things that you'd like to share?
That was wonderful. That was just wonderful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Yes, you did such a beautiful description and explanation of how this all fits together and with the real feeling behind it.
Yeah.
Which is very, very helpful.
Yeah. I think the feeling is essential because otherwise the practice remains a mental event, like a mental exercise that one does. But when you really bring your heart into it and your energy of compassion, then you really start to sense the unlimited potential that we have to keep on extending that to more and more people in our lives. And I think that's in some ways the energy that is the joy in practice that makes you want to continue to practice more and more, and to, have that reflected back to you in the relationships and how your mind changes, how your heart changes, and to see also how your relationships change. So thank you. Thank you. I mean, to be honest, that's one of the things that's kept me practicing, is that I really saw that it was changing my own mind. And Martin, my husband, was telling me, you're different. And so when you start having that feedback, then you just want to keep going. Not because just because it is so wonderful to share that energy. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, very much so.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,